Hey everyone, I'm Dan from JazzComposersPresent.com, an online space where composers, musicians, and listeners come together to celebrate the music we love. Today I'm here with Jim McNeely, pianist, composer-arranger, chief conductor of the Frankfurt Radio HR Big Band, and composer-in-residence with the Vanguard Jazz Orchestra. Jim is going to take us on a behind-the-scenes tour of his compositional process.
Thanks, Dan. It's good to be here. I thought I'd talk about the way I write a typical piece for large jazz ensemble. I'm of a certain age where I came up before there were computers. Try to imagine that. Sitting at the piano, just writing your ideas down on paper. And for me, paper is still a very important part of the process. When I'm going to write something, I first think of two general areas. One is the big issues of the piece, how long it's going to be, what the emotional impact is going to be, what the surface sound of the piece is going to be, certain things about the form, who's the soloist going to be or soloists, and so forth. And then I also think in very small terms, and those are the musical details of the piece. And so I still have, as one of my favorite media to work with, I have one here. He's one of these old 18 staff manuscript books. I love working with these things. The reason being, if you open a file on Finale or Sibelius, right away you're confronted with something with bar lines and a time signature. And I like the free feeling of, first of all, no bar lines, no time signature. You can really think freely when you're working like that. And also the size of the page. And I've got a couple of examples I'm going to show you where I might be thinking about one piece at the top of the page, and then I get an idea for something else and I can put it down at the bottom. And so each page of the book becomes a collection of a number of ideas that may relate to several different pieces, or some of which may never end up in any piece at all. So, but it's a great way for me to work. So we might look at the first example that we have here. This is something I recently wrote for the Jazz Orchestra of the Concertgebouw. For those of you who don't know what the Concertgebouw is, the Concertgebouw is more or less like the Carnegie Hall of Amsterdam. There's a famous symphony orchestra in residence there. They also have a great jazz orchestra, and I've been asked to write a CD's worth of music for them. So this is a piece I wanted to write for the drummer. His name is Martijn Vink, very good drummer. And so there's a lot of scribbling on this page. The first couple of systems are my first sketch for the opening of the piece. It's a very rhythmic kind of thing. And you'll see once in a while MV, that stands for Martijn Vink. So I initialed certain phrases as these are going to be part of this piece. On the third system, it goes to a little bridge section over a G pedal. I decided to throw that out. That didn't make it into the final cut. Below that, there's a few chords. There's a big E minor triad in the bass and a C sharp minor triad. That was just me screwing around with some different voicings. That had nothing to do with this piece. And then down where you see MV3, that's another idea that I had that ultimately made it into the piece somewhere, as well as MV1, which is in the lower right-hand corner, this do-do-do-do-do-do-do, that little vamp kind of thing. So these are all little ideas that I started to work with. And then I made a very rough draft of the form of the piece. And if we go to the next example, this is my first computer sketch. I have a 7-line template in Finale that I use. And so I put the initial ideas in there. Sometimes the systems are connected to different instrumental groups. Sometimes 2 and 3 might be saxes. Sometimes 4 and 5 might be brass. There's a bass part. One thing I do is write the whole bass part in the sketch process. The other lines are places to put other lines. And sometimes the whole thing functions that way. It has nothing to do with saxophones or brass. It has to do with places to put lines. So this is the first phase of the process. And then if we go to the next example, you'll see I start to print out those pages. They're still full of blank bars. In this case, I had put in a bass line for reference. And and I started to pencil in things. So I'm still working with pencil and paper. And this is part of a background behind a solo. And the next page is another part of that whole process. And then we finally, there are many, many more sketches. I do a lot of save as and accumulate a lot of sketches. We finally get to the next example, which is, this is the final sketch before I start scoring. So if we looked at the whole sketch, you'd see that the bass part is complete. All the voicings are in there. Anything that's going to be in the piece is in this sketch. You see in staff 4, it says 3 trumpets, 3 trombones, saxes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Don't know where the 6th saxophone is. That must have been a typo. But I make notes to myself in the sketch as we go. And then finally, we get to the next example, which is the score. And you see everything's there. And we can go through a couple of pages just to see how everything is laid out there, and it looks like a score. So this process of going from sketch to the final score, this is a typical way that I work. You'll notice I've left out trumpet 4 because the trumpet 4 is going to be the first soloist, and I want that player to get into the soloist head, not be playing a section part. So, and then finally, I have the whole score, and it'll sound something like this. And so that's that. It's a basic way that I work. There are other ways, but this is a way that really works for me very well and helps me organize my thoughts. So I hope this might have been of some use to you, and we'll talk about this further in other videos.
Thanks for watching today's mini lesson. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Drop any questions, comments, or suggestions for future videos in the comment section down below. To watch our full-length events and participate in live Q&As with our presenting artists, head over to jazzcomposerspresent.com. Thanks, and we'll see you next time.